This is the electoral map for Donald Trump versus Joe Biden for the 2024 November presidential election. I thought it'd be interesting in this video to go over a few possible paths or scenarios for how Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, former president and challenger to Joe Biden, wins 270 electoral votes and wins the presidential election. So, I've gone through the map and I have Trump starting with 235 electoral votes. The only state that I have as not solid for Trump is North Carolina. I have that as lean for Trump. Iowa, Ohio, and Florida, I have decided to move to save Trump since Joe Biden and the Democrats are not really contesting any of these states all too seriously. North Carolina, I think, is still a lean state for Trump right now. But nonetheless, 235 for Trump. Joe Biden comes in about 226. Stronger leaning. Minnesota likely. New Hampshire likely, and Virginia likely. I also have the two states that go by congressional district. Nebraska 2nd District voted for Biden last time by about a little over 10 points. I think it'll be a little bit smaller this time, but it'll still go for Biden. Maine 2nd District, similar but in reverse for Trump. So Trump's at 235, Biden's at 226. This video is about the best way for Trump to get to 270. So the first thing for me, for him to get to 270, the easiest path for Trump is to pick off the two states that have the longest history of voting Republican of the two toss-up states. Those are Georgia and Arizona. These two states voted for Republicans for a very long time. They voted for Trump in 2016 and only recently flipped back to Democrats when Biden won them in 2020. If Trump can win these two states, that gets him up to 262. And then all Trump would need to do is pick off one of Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, and he's the next president of the United States. Now, I made that sound really easy, but it's a little more complicated than that. The polling for Trump in Arizona has not been as good as it's been in Georgia. Georgia, I actually think no matter what, I'm feeling pretty confident Trump is going to win in Georgia. I think the more as things go on from 2020, at least at the presidential level, I think 2020 may have just been a fluke election the Democrats are able to win. I'm not so sure about the Senate elections. That may be an interesting thing to see in 2026, especially if Brian Kemp runs for Senate. But I think Georgia will go red this time around. Arizona is a little bit tougher because it has been a state that has been more hostile to President Trump than perhaps other states or other swing states. It's certainly possible Trump wins it. I think in the easiest scenario for Trump, he does win it, but even if Biden does win Arizona, it's actually not the end of the world for Trump. It's just that Trump would then have to win 2 out of the 3 Rust Belt states to make up for it. Because if Trump were to win Nevada and lose Arizona, Trump would be at 257, then he wins Wisconsin, and he still doesn't get there. He needs another Michigan or Pennsylvania. Now, that being said, if Trump, say, wins Pennsylvania, well, that gets him to 276. So Trump can still win by winning Nevada and Georgia, or, if you want to get really technical, Trump doesn't even need Nevada. Trump would squeak by getting 270, he would actually be able to win. The only reason I don't think this one is super likely is because of these 3 states, I would say Michigan is the most likely to flip for Biden, or for Biden to keep it from going to Trump. Pennsylvania is, I'd say, second most likely. Biden has been polling pretty well there, either tied with Trump or up a point or 2. So Trump can still win Pennsylvania. It's going to be super close. And all Trump would need to do is win 2 states here. But it is super narrow. If Trump can't win Pennsylvania, then it gets much, much harder. Biden's at 262. Trump has to win Michigan, and he has to win Wisconsin. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is it's not too often these 3 states don't vote the exact same way. I think it's been a long time since that's happened. They usually vote in unison. So seeing this where Pennsylvania goes blue and Michigan doesn't, just to me does not really make sense. They're very similar demographically, so at very least I could see Wisconsin splitting from these 2, but these 2 would probably vote in unison. So for Trump's sake, if he is able to win Wisconsin but lose Michigan and Pennsylvania, Trump absolutely has to win Arizona. That's the narrowest path for Trump's victory, I believe, is if he loses Wisconsin, or if he loses Michigan and Pennsylvania, wins Wisconsin, and wins Arizona and Georgia. So that's one path. The problem for Trump, and I mean this in the nicest way, if Trump does not win one of Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, I can't see him becoming president again. Because even if Trump were to come in and win the state of Nevada and Arizona and Georgia and North Carolina, Biden wins. Biden hits 270. 270 to 268, a narrow win for Biden, but nonetheless a win. So in this scenario, let's just say this does happen. The Rust Belt goes for Biden. What can Trump do? Well, the smallest number-wise is Trump needs to go into a state like New Hampshire and win it. New Hampshire is a state that I think is going to be a more Democratic state. It was very close in 2016. I believe being decided by under 1,000 votes or 1,500 votes. But that was also a plurality where Clinton got 46% and change. Trump got 46% and change. In 2020, Biden got 52%. Trump got 45%. So Biden would have to do much worse than he did in 2020. And I'm just not sure there's like a 5-point swing where Trump can jump up to 47 and Biden can go down to like 47 again and Trump can narrowly edge him out. I personally don't see it, especially if Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania aren't going red. It's hard to imagine New Hampshire going red. Now, that's why my last video where I went over Minnesota and Virginia, I think the Trump campaign is looking at these two states because they're looking for additional options. And let's say that Biden wins Virginia, keeps it unlikely, but they still need to win Minnesota. If Trump can pick off Minnesota, then Trump would win the presidency this way. Of course, again, if all three of these states are voting blue, I expect Minnesota to as well. But nonetheless, I guess it is possible. That's why I'm sure Trump is looking at Virginia as well. Maybe Trump can think, if I can't win here, maybe I can pick off Virginia. This actually isn't too dissimilar to what Mitt Romney's strategy was for getting elected president in 2012, where he would win Virginia and North Carolina, win Ohio, and try to pick off Iowa. And at the time, Arizona was a strong Republican state. So this would have gotten Romney the presidency. Of course, Romney lost Virginia, Ohio, Iowa, and the map looked much different. But still, nonetheless, I could see Trump going for something similar here, where maybe Biden wins Nevada and Trump tries to go after Virginia as a way to make up for losing these three Rust Belt states. I cannot stress that enough for Trump. If Trump does not win one of Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, I think the chances of him becoming president are pretty much near zero. Because it's just purely national vote and demographic wise, if Trump is losing these three states, I have a hard time believing he's winning Minnesota or Virginia. And I don't think those states are going to go for Trump at all, even if Trump does win. But if Trump loses these three states, it's just pure math. There isn't anywhere else for Trump to go outside of those two states to make the numbers up. New Mexico, I mean, look, 268, that will get Trump over the numbers, but New Mexico hasn't voted for a Republican, I believe, since the early 2000s, either 2000 or 2004. It's been trending blue. It hasn't shown much love for Trump recently in terms of polls getting better or anything, so I don't think that would happen. Colorado, a state that used to be a swing state. Republicans won it. Bush won it. Romney made it competitive in 2012. Trump lost this state by over 10 points in 2020. I cannot imagine a world where Trump wins Nevada and Colorado. And it just doesn't, it's not possible in my eyes. So Biden will win here. So Trump's really out of options if he doesn't win one of these three Rust Belt states, unless Trump can get very lucky and find a way to win New Hampshire, which is why I don't think Trump and the Trump campaign have entirely given up on New Hampshire. It's 4 electoral votes, and you may say, well, it's only 4. Why does it matter? Because in an election like this, if the unthinkable happens for Trump where he loses the 3 Rust Belt states, but he's able to gain Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia, which, given Georgia and Arizona, I don't think are too unrealistic. Nevada, I would have said it was, but Joe Lombardo, the Republican governor, just won in 2022. So a Republican has shown they can win statewide there. So that's why I think these 3 states put Trump in play, at very least if he doesn't win the Rust Belt states. But I think Trump is keeping New Hampshire in mind as like a break the glass in case of emergency situation where he's going to try and win New Hampshire. But when Trump lost New Hampshire in 2020 by 7 points, putting all your hopes there is kind of a dangerous game to play, which is why I think he's trying to go after Minnesota and Virginia as well. But case in point, if Trump is able to win Wisconsin, then everything I just said does not matter. Biden can win New Hampshire by 20 points. It won't matter. Trump's the next president of the United States if he can hold Wisconsin. Biden wins Nevada, really doesn't matter. Trump's president of the United States because he won Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin. He has to flip 3 states from his map in 2020 and holding all the other ones that Trump won. All Trump has to do is flip Wisconsin, Georgia, and Arizona. And he's the next president of the United States. Plain and simple. Now, let's just say, hypothetically, I already kind of went over this, but hypothetically, let's just say, again, Biden holds Arizona and Biden holds Pennsylvania. This one I don't think is as likely, but it is possible. Trump has to hold Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin. I briefly did this one earlier too, but again, I'm just going over it. Trump loses Wisconsin, Biden flips it. This is why I'm just showing this again, because the easiest pathway for Trump is through Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin. And I think Trump knows that. I think Trump would absolutely love to win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Arizona again. The truth is, he really doesn't have to. This is the result he got in 2016. And he may get this again. This may very well be how it ends up. But Trump can afford to lose Arizona. He can afford to lose Michigan. He can't afford to lose Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. He needs to win one of them. But ideally win 2. Because if he only wins Wisconsin and loses Pennsylvania, well, Biden does win. If he loses Arizona as well. This is why I think Trump holding Arizona is very, very important. If Trump can't win Arizona, he has no choice. He has to win one of Michigan or Pennsylvania with Wisconsin. Or he can lose Wisconsin, but then has to win Pennsylvania. So, again, the simplest path for Trump technically may be just winning Georgia and Pennsylvania. But Pennsylvania's a little bit tougher because Biden is technically born and raised there. That is his biological home state. And it has polled relatively well for Biden compared to some other swing states. So if Trump does not win Pennsylvania, his pathway for presidency, if he doesn't try and contest Wisconsin or Michigan, is pretty much like over. But I don't think Trump is going to do that. Trump is, I think, going to target Wisconsin heavily. He's going to target Michigan heavily. And he's going to target Arizona heavily. And I think Trump knows his 2016 map is his best way at getting elected president again. Maybe he tries to contest Minnesota, Virginia, and New Hampshire, but I'm not sure it's likely. The best thing for Trump to do is prioritize these states. Prioritize these states of Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. These are the states that are going to decide if Trump is the next president of the United States. And I think these are the states that give him the best shot at winning, because as I showed you in this video, going through the different scenarios, if Trump does not win these 3 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, he really has no path. If Trump does not win Arizona or Georgia, Trump pretty much has no path. Because all Biden would have to do is win Michigan, he's at 268, and then say Biden wins Nevada, Trump's done. Okay, Trump wins Nevada. Biden wins Wisconsin, Trump's done. Alright, Trump wins Wisconsin. Biden wins Pennsylvania, Trump's done. Trump wins Pennsylvania, 270. Alright, Biden wins Nevada, Trump's done. I cannot stress the point the most that Trump ideally needs to get Arizona and Georgia, but if he doesn't get Georgia, especially the bigger electoral votes of the two, Trump's really in for a lot of trouble. And it's hard to imagine, again, marginally, that if Trump's not winning Georgia, he's probably not going to be winning the Rust Belt states again either. The Rust Belt, or Georgia's a lot more to the right, I would say, even after 2020, than the Rust Belt states are. At least historically they have been. So Trump needs to focus on these 3 Rust Belt states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and then Nevada, because he actually has a good shot at flipping Nevada this time. New Hampshire, I think, I've heard a lot of talk, and I know the governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, said that New Hampshire will be competitive. I would say prove it until I see more. There's been one poll that showed it was close, another poll that showed it really wasn't. It's more of I'll believe it when I see it with New Hampshire. In Minnesota and Virginia, I understand Trump wants to expand the map, but I think those are kind of non-starters, to be honest. But I think Trump, if he prioritizes these 6 states, I think he's got a decent pathway to becoming president of the United States again. And as the challenger, I think that's all he really needs to hope for. It's just to go after these states and try to improve his polling and his margins in these states. So that'll do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below telling me what you think of this video and what you think of President Trump's pathway to victory is for the 2024 election. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, press the subscribe button to get more videos like these. All right, thank you so much. I hope to see you in a future video.